right, this is the first part of this video. I will do bigger video maybe tomorrow. The deadline for Allied Universal to respond, actually my own deadline, was today, and there's nothing new. So here's the deal. This is what I'm starting a video of the places where I worked. All right. Hello, guys. Who is a member of my community? Welcome back. Who is not? Please do subscribe. This is for my YouTube subscribers. And who is for my Facebook community? Same thing. I will do today stuff about my security work that I worked for the last 5 years. Specifically, I will touch more about the client that I work for. It's called, the company called Cushman & Wakefield. It's a multinational, really big real estate company that manages properties, either theirs or for somebody else. In our particular case here in Atlanta, where I worked, the company was called Ardent. They were representing owners of the properties. I work as a security supervisor for the last year and a half for over 14 buildings, and before that I was a rover. So de facto over the last 5 years I knew every single hole and where the mouse can get out. You see what I mean? I knew very well the property, and yet there was a situation that did not let me work further, and in a way I sacrificed 5 years to work for them, and they didn't do a damn thing about it. So de facto, a person like me who was really well in work ethics was pushed out of the buildings, because simply the way I see it, because of racial and woke politics, plus my investigation about my mother's death related to Africa and in impulse technology proliferation, which was my father's patent. Okay, those situations happen about same year when my mother died, a couple of months later. That was very suspicious for me. And as I said, I'm not going to go into this. I'm simply going to describe what happened and what it was there. And I will express my opinion about Cushman & Wakefield. You see, in the recent months, they were accused of fraud in one of the cities. So I will read stuff that I wrote like for myself, to not to lose things, and I will then add things with inserts, maybe. Okay. So my personal opinion is that one day there's going to be something interesting that will pop up from the past of Cushman & Wakefield, and possibly it will drag Ardent itself into it. But for now, everything looks supposedly fine, but it's not going to be the same what people say. So here's the deal. I worked for them as with a company called Allied Universal Security, which was a security, of course, company that contracts security work at all over Atlanta, and not just Atlanta. It's the biggest security company in the world. So, in general, I was always kind of curious some actions they had. I'm talking about Cushman & Wakefield, and I usually, as I said, I'm not going to comment, but I'm taking it as a long-term project. I do research, and then I put stuff together, combining with my information. So in a way, it's like, let's call it, open source intelligence techniques. Where you go online and you do research for specific things, and then for specific dates. It's going to take you back to a specific, again, I said specific dates. specific years, and then what can you do? You combine stuff from the past, whatever you knew. In this case, I knew. So for me, it was really interesting. I started following them, specifically their financial situations, since May 5th, 2023. So let me just grab my water here. And they had one of the first times they had a loss, almost $90 million, which was really unhappy stuff. And what happened at the time at work, the management who ran the Allied Universal explained that the client doesn't allow any more overtime and to make money. You see, we're working for Allied Universal, and security companies can vary a lot of situations they can manipulate that you can make money as a security officer. So because the way you make money in security business, there are two, besides your just basic pay. It's overtime. And the second thing is shortage of employees that will you cover for another position. And in 2023, suddenly everything went away. And not just went away, it was really ugly. I was light about the pay. I was transferred. There was a long story, but as I said, I'm not going to get into this because I will kind of going to savor it for a while and kind of put stuff together, stuff that I will love, kind of put it in a way. But my point is, again, it's an interesting company that is, I think it's $2.9 billion, multinational company, real estate, that has offices in Bulgaria, that are offices in former Soviet Georgia, which is kind of funny because, Georgia, United States, Georgia, former Soviet Union. They had the Mall of Georgia here in Atlanta. There's Mall of Georgia in Georgia. The Atlanta and Tbilisi are sister cities. And there is whole bunch of stuff related to Georgia, and they're very, in a way, kind of too coincidental for me. It's like there's a principle of duality of some kind. But big deal. As I said, it's not the point now. And so but the thing is, as I said, they had very interesting symbiosis between Allied Universal and the client, which was Cushman & Wakefield. They would play like they are good cop, bad cop. For instance, if you want to ask them for money, they will say, well, the client, which is Cushman, not allowed. Then they will come back and say, well, the client did not allow anything. And then what's kind of really funny, I had the situation when some of my supervisors would say, hi, Alex, I will go to talk to the specific name of the manager of Cushman & Wakefield, that they were allowed to work for you to work over the weekend and make more money. I said, well, who is against more money? And then he would go there and come back and says, well, they did not allow that. And then suddenly they switch 180 and say, well, actually, it was our fault. We are the ones who... So you see what I mean? They and at the same time, there's like a stuff in the press about Cushman & Wakefield not paying overtime and being sued. So it kind of was getting into one level of talk. But anyway, so the Cushman & Wakefield they're really big in Atlanta. They have like 280 buildings. And the Piedmont Center where I worked was owned by Ardent. Actually, the Ardent represented the owners. And the owners are they vary from owners' investments from abroad to American investors. So government's possible. Like I'm not going to go into this. But the thing is very simple. That what happened is, as I said, it was 5 years for me, and in the end, there were several situations that happened that I was not really happy about. And I was forced out because of racial politics. And the racial politics, it's because of simply, as I said, my mother was murdered. This is what I insist on. At the moment I started doing it, I was forced out through different stuff that is obvious. So what I noticed about them, as I said, 280 buildings Cushman & Wakefield had in Atlanta. And what I was doing once, I went to the manager and asked, said, usually this is what you do. You work for money, you don't work for stuff, specifically when you're 60 years old. When you're 60 years old, you have to have a specific number of contributions every year to your Social Security in order to get more money, okay? So what happens, you go and you ask for money and you do the way that you can have contributions to your Social Security, federal pension, which now I'm trying to reclaim because there's something wrong, somebody sabotaged it. That's why one of the reasons I go to Ames, Iowa, it's to do it in a small city, okay, and where I have friends. But as I said, they had 280 billion. So when you go on and you ask, you see, I need more money, I need to go to work. And they said, really simple, go to Allied Universal and ask to work in other venues, like different buildings. Some pay more, but not all the time, just some part-time you can make money. As I said, you can make lots of money. Security business is a good business if you get into it early and if you show up on time, because there's a problem with showing people up, general. Anyway, so what happened in the end, as I said, they had a problem with identity politics and Vogue politics. Some of the people that worked, they actually did not work. They were just present at work. And I had to cover for them. And so what they do in this case is you do not, by not getting extra money, you kind of are forced to stay on one thing.